Hello guys! I'm back! And I'm not dead! So, Christmas is just around the corner, so, what am I gonna do for this wonderful month? Not make a Christmas video, that's what. No, today I'm here to talk about comics. But not just any comics, but, my comics. So if you follow me on YouTube, you may or may not know I have a DeviantArt, even though, cause, come on. I do speed paints, where else am I gonna put my fucking work? If you didn't know, allow me to tell you of my stories. Failed and ones that never seen the light of day. Now, this can go back many years ago. 2007 to 2009 is probably where I got really into the whole comic idea. I loved reading stories that were either created by big companies or stories that were created by people online. It fascinated preteen Amphi, but preteen me never understood the rules or laws of making a story. Mainly there being a fucking plot, and character development, and logic, and not being edgy as fuck. So I took it upon myself and set forth to create my own story. By first making characters and putting them with werewolves and vampires and stuff. And calling it a day. This is where Nightlight comes into play. Of course, this never got anywhere, and it was mainly my focus from 2007 to 2009. Now, I was only young. I was new to all this, and honestly, this story wouldn't have been as bad. But then I remember, I couldn't spell worth shit back then or write a story that made any sense.
Driver walks up to the house and ring the doorbell. I seen look up and here we go.
This story consisted of many characters. It was all over the place. The ones I do remember, however, were the main characters, I guess you could call them. A vampire. He had, purple hair. I don't know if it was dyed or he was born that way. And he had a girlfriend who also was a vampire, and she had long black hair with red in it, and her name was Anna. Then there was Mike, who was friends with the vampires, and he was a werewolf, who was blonde, and he had a girlfriend, and she was blonde, and she was an angel called May, and May had, two angel dogs that could transform into battle beasts. Yeah. There was the main bad guy, too, who wanted to destroy them. I forgot her damn name, but all I know she was a queen werewolf, and she had a backstory with Mike. Yeah, it was stupid. After I scrapped that story, I just put off writing for a few months, doing casual drawings and speed paints. But later in 2009, September to be exact, I jumped back into the mood of writing. I was set this time on making a bigger and better story than the last. This soon became Werewolf Apocalypse. This started out as a small project I wanted to turn into an animated series. This never worked out due to the time I was only drawing with a shitty mouse. Boy, let me tell you what. I worked on this thing day and night. It's gonna be quite a shocker. You ready? You ready? It never got anywhere! If you was to ask me what the story was about today, I would tell you a very fleshed out and pretty updated and hold up story. But it was never like that back in the day. As of recent years, I've been touching up this beaten story to make it better than when I first wrote it. I went in and changed character designs, I changed the setting. I can gladly say I like the idea of the story now. And I do at some point finally want to make this a reality. But allow me to gift you with the plot it used to have. And I'm gonna put it in a simple way I would've back in the day. It takes place in New York City, and werewolves attack. It causing an apocalypse, and the world is in great disaster. Everyone is dying and transforming into beasts, and it's up to 4 teenagers to save the world. Adrian and his gang of friends will stop at nothing till these monsters are destroyed. Yeah, that's how the story was back in 2009. That is how I wanted it to be. Like I said, one day this story will be a real comic. In October of 2009, I joined DA to share my art to the public. Through the course of my first year, I would put out a drawing or two, maybe an oddball comic. Yeah, we do not speak of those. In early 2011, I was now 16 years of age, and I thought, psh, I'm way more better at writing a drawing now. Hell, I even got a tablet. I got this on lockdown. And then I started writing another story that was going to be a fully fleshed out comic based around my two friends who were dating at the time. And it included Stitches. Yeah, you remember this guy? It featured him back when he had no character or a story whatsoever. This comic was called Stitch in Mind. This story pretty much just throws you right into the mess. It starts with one of my friends having trouble sleeping as it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. I don't remember much from this, all that somehow Stitches is part of this dude and he transforms into Stitches because he starts hearing his voice in his head, but apparently it was all a dream. Yeah, it was fucking confusing, and it was never explained. Like, how did all this started? Don't know, never explained. So then page 3 comes around, and I cancelled the story, cause my friends broke up, and yeah, I didn't like the story. But oddly enough, people wanted me to continue it, cause they liked it, even though there was only 3 pages, nothing else. There was a comic later down the road after Stitch in Mind, but it was all by mistake, and I will get to that after, cause trust me, it is a long one. June 2011, the same month as I created one of my comics by mistake, I wanted to make another, one that coincided with one of the comics my friend was making at the time. I made the cover, that was it, I dropped it just like that. I then jumped onto another idea I wanted to do. It was sorta a fan fiction comic thing, I guess? It was about Gary Smith from Bully being a werewolf, and it was like a mystery story, and Jimmy Hawkins being the main character, trying to figure out what was going on because teachers were being killed, but he also had to live his school life. And yeah, it was dumb, and I never titled it, and never touched it. 1 year later, 2012, I finally wanted to do something that featured 4 original characters of mine that pretty much were the face of my account, so to speak. This comic was called Adventures of the Portal Book. The main characters included Darkness, Stitches, Ishi, and Marco. Pretty much me sealing the deal that these characters lived in the same universe. This too sadly never got anywhere, as I uploaded 2 pages that was never heard from till 2014 when I uploaded the unfinished works of page 3. The story was pretty simple. Darkness had a book that allowed him to open up portals to different worlds and timelines. One day, by mistake, he opens up a portal, getting Stitches sucked inside. So him and his 2 friends, who aren't really his friends, try to get Stitches back home. They find themselves traveling to different worlds and different timelines having an adventure. This sorta was inspired by Kingdom Hearts, where Sora and the gang would find themselves in worlds such as Lion King. After Portal Book, small things would come to mind, such as a story based around Werewolf Chuck Green in Dead Rising. Never happened. A Pokemon comic that featured one of my OCs and Zigzagoon. 2 pages were uploaded and it was never touched again. So, after all this, you may be curious, what was this comic I made by mistake? Well, prep yourself, cause this is gonna be quite a ride. Halloween in the Saints. This comic was made completely by mistake. On June 17th, 2011, I wanted to do something just for plain shits and giggles. I looked for my OCs, and I spotted one that was always taking the back seat, one I never really bothered with. That was Reese Montez, my Saints Row boss. Now, this is 2011 Anfi I'm talking about here, so I just picked him up and threw him in a pot of shit because he never had a story. He never had any story. Hell, I don't even think I can call him a character back then. I just picked him up and looked at him and I said, "You're gonna be a werewolf today!" Then I made the comic. This was all gonna be a simple setup for a transformation comic. Then boom, it would have ended. You see this man right here? This character would have never been a thing if I didn't continue this story. You see, this dude, I would have never been friends with someone who I'm very close to today. Reese most likely would have been pushed back into the corner he was in before, and I most likely would have jumped onto something completely different. And these two bears would have never been— Many things have happened due to this comic. Awesome things. And I dare say it, Reese has maybe become my most popular character on my account, second to Exprio. Him and Exprio, and all the characters I've created due to Saints Row, have grown so much. I'm 43 pages in on my Saints Row comic, and I still highly enjoy putting pages out for you guys, even though it's torture sometimes. But despite all of this work and love for this comic, I still fucking hate these pages. And finally, there is another thing I'm planning on putting out. Maybe during Halloween the Saints, or maybe once Halloween the Saints is over. But I will say, it has something to do with a character's backstory. I'd like to thank you for getting this far into the video, guys. And if you are writing a story, or thinking on writing a story, remember, keep at it. Never give up. You never know when you're gonna get a true little spark.